Hey everybody, welcome back to Lettermen Row. Welcome to the Horseshoe, where we're hoping for as many Big Ten only games played in this building as possible this year. I am Austin Ward. That's Spencer Holbrook. That's Jeremy Birmingham. It is the last of our position weeks. We hope you've enjoyed the whole series so far. Last but not least, everyone's favorite, the special teams. And I mean, Drew Chrisman, he's good. If you want to start with the punters, but I think generally people care about this long-standing drought, punt returns and kickoff returns, and why Ohio State can't seem to make up any ground on the return game.
I'm not a scientist, but it has been 300 years since Ohio State had a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown. And that seems like too long when you're talking about a roster that is as deep and as talented as the Buckeyes are. And the one thing that just, I get it. I get a unique vantage point of watching the games on the field. Why can they not find a guy to just catch a darn punt?
It's like Alabama with kickers. You can't find a guy to do it. I think the last two guys to return punts are Jalen Marshall and Jordan Hall, which just tells you everything you need to know.
2014 for punt return, Jalen Marshall against Indiana, and Jordan Hall kickoff return, which I believe was in 2010. I don't understand. I mean, kickoff returns are about to be phased out entirely from college football. I don't worry about
whatever.
it.
Those are whatever.
A punt return with Ohio State's collection of talents, A, they should be able to catch it more frequently and regularly, and B, there need to be breaking some of these.
I'm going to be very clear. They have their punt returner. Garrett Wilson was this close.
That's what I was about to say.
To breaking about 11 of them a year ago. And then he just found a way to get tripped up after 20 yards every time. But Garrett Wilson's going to return a punt for a touchdown at some point in his career. Is it this year? I don't know. But, you know, you look at the guys that they've tried in that position and you just wonder, like, what is going on here? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. You put the most sure-handed guy out there and then he goes back and returns punts and drops the ball.
Or they've put a guy out there who's been less than sure-handed in his career and continued to try it. This is the part where I say I don't believe DeMario McCall is the answer on special teams. This has become my off-season tradition. I know that people want it to happen. I know that he was out there on day one with Garrett Wilson, with Chris Olave as being an option for that as well. I don't think that they would use him in that role just to protect him. He's going to play a lot more snaps at wide receiver than normal. Couple different defensive backs that have had a chance. I mean, Berm is right. Garrett Wilson is going to be the guy. I think there's still too much uncertainty with the mental makeup and the reliability of the hands for DeMario McCall for him to be an option. So I know that that's a question. My answer is that that will not be a solution.
I'm going to just say right now that sometime this week we will see that as a question of the day. So
you know who I want to see back there, and while we're just gonna, this is special teams week, folks. We're just diving in. We're going crazy.
Bringing it.
Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Give me Mookie Cooper.
Okay.
Give me Mookie Cooper as the second punt return guy, because here's the deal. Garrett Wilson's going to be pretty important for the offense, and I don't want to see him taking any more hits than he needs to. I love you, Mookie, but I'd rather see you get hit.
You pay your dues on special teams. Because on offense, there's probably not a role for him this year, if we're being completely honest. But you're not going to redshirt him.
No. So, you got to find a way to get him on the field. That's probably the best way. Jamison Williams is another guy. Obviously, the speed, the stride that reminds everyone of Teddy Ginn. Like, maybe he could break one, but again, you have to catch the football.
Yeah.
And I think Mookie Cooper, with his career starting as a running back and now his sort of elusiveness, I think, fits really well in that spot. So I'd really like to see Mookie Cooper get a shot at doing that as sort of his niche in the 2020 season.
I'd like to see Cam Brown as maybe an option there. I talked about his ball skills during defensive backs.
I have another one.
He might be out there. I mean, there are a lot. See, here's the deal. This is why this conversation, we have it all the time. Every time we see a punt hit the ground or the streak continues another week, we can come up with 10 guys that we think can do it. But Ohio State has been in this weird position where, as you said, it's been like defense against the dark arts. These guys go back there and they suddenly lose any ability. Garrett Wilson put one on the ground. C.J. Saunders has put one on the ground in his career. These guys should never ever be doing that. They don't drop passes in practice. They don't, they don't drop key balls that come their way at wide receiver. And it's so bizarre because you can come up with a wish list of these athletes they recruit and think up 10 guys that could break the streak. But some of them get chances and it doesn't work.
And we kind of are just naming the most athletic guys on the roster at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's special teams week.
Yeah, you just put somebody back there who can catch the ball. I don't care if they return a punt 3 yards the entire season. Put somebody back there that can catch the ball so it doesn't roll 20 yards and you start with worse field position. they don't put the ball on the ground so Rutgers can recover it and score a touchdown and inflate your defensive stats for you. Like that, just put somebody out there who can catch the darn ball, and I think that will solve at least half the problem.
I have one more name, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. But go watch 9 minutes of Cameron Martinez touchdowns from his senior season of high school.
Wow.
And tell me Cam Martinez couldn't return punts.
During defensive backs week.
Tell me Cam Martinez couldn't return
He's
punts.
going to hear about that one.
Well, I mean, he's never really played defensive back in his life. So he has returned punts and kicks and has 9-minute touchdown clip, a 9-minute touchdown only highlight clip from his senior year of high school. Cam Martinez is another guy with the ball in his hands. He is extremely dangerous. And I think if you give him an opportunity back there, you could see him do some things.
I do think part of the punt return thing is we always just think of the offensive guys. And you don't really ever mention the defensive guys who can do this kind of thing. But maybe you guys have a point. Maybe it's time to try the defensive backs in there because the wide receivers just haven't worked out.
Cam Brown.
Make punt returns great again.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy. So, Drew Chrisman, we know he can be really good. Last year, I don't think was going to be the finest year of his career. He thought about leaving to try his luck as a pro. You know what you're going to get with him if he's locked in. That's not really, we're not going to talk about
It's hard to plan a wedding.
It is. You just got to be really.
And maybe he was a little bit distracted all year long. Plus, he had to punt, 6 times?
And be a social media star,
right?
Which, next year he'll be able to cash in on. Not this year, unfortunately, for college football players. But I guess, Blake Hobbiel, he really surprised me. And Spencer knows from sitting next to me in the press box, there were 2 of those kicks last year where I said, no, there's no way.
Austin still owes me money for that kick at Northwestern.
Northwestern one, I almost jumped out of the press box. I was so shocked by what you did right there.
Yeah.
If you get in close games, probably not going to happen in Big Ten season unless Penn State is ready for that game in October or whenever it's played. I don't see anyone in the Big Ten that can really challenge Ohio State. But if you get into a playoff and you play a Clemson or an Alabama, somebody like that, and it comes down to it, I now have a lot more faith in Blake Hobbiel to deliver than I did going into last season.
Yeah, I wrote about it last year, the day after that Northwestern game, because it didn't matter in the context of that game. But I said what mattered is that Ryan Day proved to Blake that he trusted him to hit a big kick when he needed. And it was 3 weeks later when he hit a big kick against Wisconsin in the rain from 47 yards and drilled it. And I think that was one of those moments where you're like, okay, that's exactly why you let him kick the ball at the end of the half at Northwestern when you're up 100 points. So I think that, as a kicker, so much of it is between the ears. And for Blake, early in his career, there was some back issues that kind of slowed him down, but he's physically healthy. And he may not be the big dynamic personality that all the other guys in the specialist room are, but he's arguably the most important guy in that room when it comes to the Buckeyes offense and the chance to win a national title.
Well, and when the offense didn't have a lot of confidence because they couldn't score touchdowns against Clemson, Blake Hobbiel was putting kicks through and extending the lead at any bit he could. So there was some confidence there that he had in himself to make those kicks on the biggest stage in college football. So the confidence thing, like you said, it carried from the Northwestern game into that Wisconsin game through the entire rest of the season. And I think it's going to carry over into this season. Maybe they do need him in one of these games, bro.
We'll see. That's special teams week for you.
Hey, what about the long snapper?
What about Jake Seibert?
Yeah, there's a lot of other things we could talk about on special teams week, but let's just save it.
Hey,
we can do a long snapping breakdown next week.
It's a new long snapper. That's a big deal. When you've had the same long snapper for 4 years,
it's basically the same guy.
Isn't it the thumbs up?
Okay, so it is Rowan McCullough now instead of Liam McCullough.
So everybody's going to keep calling him Liam.
So you could just call him McCullough because that works.
Yeah.
But he's also been long snapping his whole life. So isn't it crazy when you think about how long
the McCullough dynasty?
No, the McCullough dynasty. But yeah, when you think about how long it's been since they've had a punt return, how long has it been since we've seen a bad snap on special teams at Ohio State?
Well, it's going to be the first one of the year now.
Wood somewhere to knock on? Why would you say something?
It's going to be
that?
The first one of the year now.
Berm just jinxed the no-hitter here in the horseshoe for the Buckeyes. So mark that down from special teams preview brought to you by Byers Auto. Berm says, Berm jinxed it. There will be a bad snap this year from McCullough. It's all on him.
Sorry, Rowan.
Glad you brought that up when I was trying to exit us out of this preview. We hope you've enjoyed every part of our position previews this summer. We are doing the best we can to cover this team and hope for a full season coming. No matter what, we'll have all the coverage we can bring you at Lettermen Row. That's Spencer Holbrook. That's Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time at Lettermen Row.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Letterman Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and you know we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.